Damn, love
What
that
up?
shit. Happy Memorial Day, day after Memorial Day, Mr. Kinder.
Happy Memorial Day. How you doing out there?
Man, we had a great, relaxing weekend. The weather was sketchy all weekend except for the yesterday, and had a great day. Had a little cookout. Got to meet Matthew's girlfriend's parents. Had them over for the little meet and greet. Little
All
hey,
right.
get to know the family. It was great. Cooked up some steaks and too much desserts. They're Greek, so they brought some Greek desserts over, bro. My sugar issue is not getting better.
Dude, that's my weakness, man. Sweets are my weakness.
And it was already there, but when I stopped drinking, it even
100%, dude.
Went skyrocketed. From there.
Yeah.
Well, it's the day after Memorial Day, and I was writing over here. I was telling you, my board where I kind of think of the themes for the week for my email campaigns that I send out, and the podcast I do. In addition to this, on Mondays it's called Monday Morning Mindset, and just getting our agents' mindset right for the rest of the week. And so, in thinking of the theme, I couldn't really think of a better theme than freedom, Jay. So I'm excited to go down the rabbit hole of freedom with you. I mean, it's so important. I mean, it's the reason why we moved our brokerages from an independent model into eXp Realty 9 years ago.
Yep.
Was for freedom. It's the same reason why on Fridays we call it Freedom Friday. Does your calendar still say Freedom Friday?
Yeah, 100% all day blocked off.
Mike's does, mine does. I'm sure dozens of other people out there. And we're going to dip into just the mindset of around that and why we call it Freedom Friday. It's important. What else?
Yeah, man. I think you spend, I think some people maybe aren't conscious that that's what they're chasing, but everything you're doing, everything you're trying to build, everything you're trying to learn, everything where you're trying to grow is to get to a place where you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want. Like, that's really what you're after. If you just skip and get to that, and you had 50 million in the bank and you never had to worry about money again, you probably wouldn't be doing none of the stuff you're doing today. That's the
truth. That should have been the headline, man. Shit. Man, missed that opportunity. Yeah, let's leave you guys with this. I'm gonna go through the agenda, but we're gonna come back and we're gonna hit this freedom. But dude, that's exactly you actually had said 10 million in the bank in 2015, right? That was a decade ago.
I had to up it to 50 million just because all these big numbers flying around these days.
Inflation.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the question, Jay. Ask the question to the audience, and we're going to come back to it.
Okay. So here's the question. If you had 50 million in the bank right now, which means it's spitting off plenty of cash flow for you, you never have to worry about money again. Real truthfully, your kids and your kids' kids never have to worry about money again. What do you get up every day and do? What are you going to go back to the office and sell houses? Are you going to build that team? Are you going to work more on that philanthropic thing that you always wanted to do? It truly get to that place where you can imagine that that's your life. And what do you do every day? That's the question.
Yeah. So at an 8%
for perspective, Al, let me tell just a quick story. I had an agent that I asked her, where do you want to be in 5 years? And she answered the question, well, I'd like to be maybe half of the production I'm doing and half, maybe half coaching, because she just got into some coaching, and she kind of enjoyed coaching agents. But when I asked that 5-year question, she didn't look far enough out. Right. She didn't. And probably in her mind, she didn't have a way to get to that $50 million number. It didn't the freedom wasn't within the focus. Right. Like, it wasn't the lens wasn't focused in on. Yeah, man, 5 years from now, I'd like to be retired doing whatever I want whenever. But if you can't see far enough out or imagine a world where you have absolute time freedom and money freedom, then you don't really go there. You don't go to this place where, well, here's what I would do if I was in that situation. You think about, man, 5 years, I'm going to be grinding, hopefully less than I was, but you don't see that you could literally make a choice or a decision that could get you to financial freedom within 5 years. And then you could be in that place. And I think a lot of people, and me the same way, like, I'm setting all these, priorities and strategic plans around doing things to get to certain numbers. And none of that said, and Jay has all his time back, saying like, while I was trying to build. But until you get to that place where you can really see what that looks like, and imagine what that looks like, you can't really truly evaluate what are all the ways to get there, and then maybe what's the best vehicle to get you there. That's my take.
Dude, I just saw the greatest meme on this, and it was actually one of the things that inspired me to make this one of the topics. Maybe you've seen it. It was talking about like your the years before you start entrepreneurship, right? Completely free calendar, no time constraints, nothing going on, right? Like your calendar's wide open. It's like freedom, right?
Yeah.
Then starting the business, calendar fills up, zero freedom.
Right.
And then it's like after you've scaled your business, phase 3, you're back to your same schedule you started with.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. I gotta find the meme. It was so spot on though.
Yep.
Because but kind of going back to what you were saying is that the truth is you don't need $50 million to get financially.
No.
Okay. Like that's the thing is like we use the 50 because Jay, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you said this, it was actually in 2015 in Aspen, Colorado at our mastermind, and you used 10 million. If you had 10 million in the bank liquid, like tomorrow,
right?
Would you come to work and do the same thing that you were doing like every single day?
Right.
It's a fair question.
Yeah. And if not, what would have to change? Right. Because really the context of that question was, are you really building what you want to, a business that you love and something that you love doing, or what would have to change for you to say, yeah, I'd come back tomorrow. I love what I do. And that, in that context, I think, most people probably went back and fired some people, but that's, there's certain people that you either love being around or you don't. There's certain things that you do on a daily basis that you wouldn't want to be doing. And it's getting clear about what those things are so that you can do what you love. I mean, at the end of the day, if you wake up and love what you do, it ain't work. Right. And, I think that's, I'm never going to just do nothing. So like whatever I'm doing, it's going to have to be what I want to do and not what I want and don't want to do.
Yeah, I was listening to. Did you listen to the Mark Andreessen, Joe Rogan, where he interviewed Mark just recently?
No, I haven't. No, that would be good.
It is good. It is good. Mark's an interesting cat. He's uber smart, extremely wealthy now. Obviously, he's a venture capitalist now, but him and his partners have started multiple startups, invested in. I think their fund has over 1,000 companies that they have some type of, controlling interest in, or maybe not controlling interest, but deep investments into. And he was talking about, the difference of what people would do. And I think that the reason that we're using $50 million as a visualization is, what would you be doing differently? Would you even be doing this job? Would you quit? Would you quit real estate? There's nothing wrong with it. There's this badge. There's this energy that kind of goes around that it's negative if you said you were going to quit selling real estate. I'm going to quit selling I'm going to quit going on buyer appointments and seller appointments if I'm sitting on 10 million liquid in the bank. I mean, just to give you perspective, Mr. Wonderful says 5 million.
Yep.
And if you did the math at 8% annual interest, that's about $400,000 a year. Now, when you talk about being able to truly retire, that doesn't mean off the same salary. That was a lot of people, they think, well, if I retire, am I going to have the same exact salary that I'm making now as I'm actively working? Probably not. I mean, you're probably going to have a little bit less. I mean, could you have? Now, if you're sitting on that kind of money, if you're sitting on 50 million, well, now you're making what? 4 million in passive, like truly passive income.
Yeah.
And that's kind of on a conservative end at an 8% return. If you have it in the Millennium Fund has every year like consistently for the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. It's a 13 or 14% return on investment. We're in the Millennium Fund, and I was talking to Reese the other day, and he's like, my goal is to get as much money into that Millennium Fund as possible. Why? Because that's the only true passive income, as an investor. If you're touching stuff, if you have meetings in your calendar every day, if you have huddles planned, and you can't, or you got calls you can't get out of, that's not 100% freedom. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to be happy. It just means that's not freedom. That's not true freedom, to where you can just be like, see ya, I'm out for 12 months. Like, gone. Your calendar isn't holding you to any meetings and any of that thing. So back to the question of freedom, so there's financial freedom, right? There's free from there's spirituality freedom. We talked about the surrender experiment and the freedom that, I guess, that mindset of surrendering, and that it's not your will be done, it's God's will be done. And being that not just a concept in your mind, but actually like, I'm living that every day, every week, and being able to just let go. Something that has not come easily to me, but you actually do a really good job of that, Jay. So spiritually, freedom, free of stress. Are you up in your head all day, all night, trying to fall asleep because things are going around in your head? Or are you coming from love? Are you coming from gratitude? Freedom from stress. You can't be stressed and thankful at the same time. I've tried it. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible if you're living in gratitude. So that, it's just, Memorial Day, that's what it made me think of, dude. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but I wanted to be free of rush hour. Like when I met you in 2010, I was still working. Well, I was full-time agent, but I was in so much debt. I had to take a part-time job on, just to pay my bills. Otherwise, right, I was going to lose everything. But free from punching a clock, free from fighting traffic and rush hour. How do you do that? You become an entrepreneur. And there's no better country to do it than the USA. So we appreciate the men and women who gave everything, including their life, to be able to give us the freedom to even have this podcast and talk about freedom on a Tuesday in the beginning of summer. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah, brother. All right. Let's move into some real estate stuff. What do you say?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Yeah. So AI, we love talking about AI. And what we're seeing right now is the buyer journey is starting to change, but people still trust an agent and they want the human, but they're starting with AI now. It used to be they're just starting with a Google search. And now the portals are now moving their AI tools right up to the front, and they're wanting, it's more of a search, Jay, is what I'm saying. And you actually touched on this last week when you were talking about searching for land. And I want you to kind of give us an update on that. But what we're seeing is more conversational questions like, where can I buy a home near this school district under this monthly payment with room for my parents because my mom's sick and she's going to be moving in with us and we got to sell her house, whatever. Like, it's more talking point conversationalist versus saying, hey, show me all the 4 bedrooms, 2 baths in Frisco, Texas under 900,000, right? It's getting more detailed as to what we're telling the AI or the search tool. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, I mean, my big question around it, because it definitely for me, like, so for me with the search that I shared last week was like, man, if I could find something that is an acre that's less than 10, 15 minutes from my house, that either has a shop or I could build a shop, I would consider that. But if it's more than 15 minutes away from my house, then it needs to be on at least 10 acres so I can have some room to play. And it could be land. It could be a house and land. It could be anything. Right. So I gave it all this. I mean, that was very random. I don't think most people probably have that kind of a search. Maybe it doesn't seem like to me. Maybe they do. But yeah, no, it went, and I was going through the MLS. And I'm like, man, there's I got to look at commercial for shops. I've got to go back and look residential plus land, like just to try to search in the MLS. It was difficult to get an actual list of everything that was available. And so I went into ChatGPT and I put it in there, and of course, I'm on the pro version of mode of it or whatever, and it was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it pulled up all the options, broke them down based on which category it was, and I was like, dude, I didn't even see, because I'm on all these alerts and all this stuff and on different websites, all this stuff, and I never there were several that I had never seen before. The ones that I would have missed, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I think is really interesting about if there, I don't know how many people have that specific of a search, right? Like if you're just saying, let's just say you want to move, you're moving to Frisco, and you might want to know about the school system. You definitely want to know about drive time. That's probably a big one, right? So no less, no more than X, minutes from work or whatever. That's probably something people would always search. They better, if they're in Frisco. I don't know if this is appropriate, but like there's certain areas you might want to live in close to a mosque or not close to a mosque, whatever it might be. Yeah, I feel like for some reason, I'm definitely probably wrong here, but I feel like when I talk to buyers, it's been so long, but when I talk to buyers, they didn't always know what they wanted. They didn't know, they weren't that specific. I'm like, here's what I'm looking for. Like, they just want to go look, right? And so, but the argument is that AI is going to, you're going to have a more educated buyer by the time they get to you. All those things that you would answer in a counseling interview, they will have already done, and they already know, and they know the school system. They know how far it is. They know they don't want to go here. So like, you've got the potential to, because they're so educated and they know, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to go out here this far because I know that the drive time is longer than what I put in ChatGPT. So I'm only looking here. So like, you got the ability to look like an idiot, or to, to really, service them where they're at. And so that's going to be an interesting change as people start to gravitate to using, ChatGPT and getting much more educated, about homes before they, they've narrowed it down to a few instead of, hey, what else is available?
Yeah, man. I mean, even the Google, we said that everyone's still, a lot of people still go to Google, but now Google is now taking, that blue link search kind of away. It's moving toward AI mode with AI generated summaries and stuff like that is what we're seeing up at the top. So here's my question for you, Jay. Okay, so you can ask AI anything you want. Moving forward, that's just going to get stronger. It's going to become the thing that everyone's going to be using, as more people start to adapt and be more comfortable with using AI. So where does that leave the agent? Okay. Buyers can literally ask it anything, whereas a lot of these questions they had to ask their real estate agent or a real estate agent when they were choosing one. What becomes of the agent now? Are we a translator, the truth filter, the economist locally? All these things probably should be, what does the agent now have to step up? Because the average consumer is now all of a sudden, just like that, just in the last, I would even say more popular in the last 3 to 6 months. They're getting like 5-10x more educated on real estate and their purchase and everything, even going down to the loan. What's the best loan product to use based upon?
I think that this is right where I think if the true expert that knows, that can evaluate loan which they're going to have the information on loan products based on, that buyer. If I'm a buyer and I'm doing all this research, I've already probably done the research on what are all the type loan products that are available. And this is the type of loan that I should get based on my situation. I feel like that process they've already done. So you need to be aware probably of what was best for them. And if they haven't done that, you need to be able to help them get to that place. That's a potential, area that you could be an expert. I think it comes down to your ability to negotiate and get them the best possible deal. Like that's what else is the agent's value? That's If all the information is in their hands, you better be really skilled at building rapport and negotiation, and you better have a lot of confidence, because otherwise, why would they need you?
All right, so this is something literally last week that I just did. Okay, so nothing to do with the real estate, but has everything to do with what we're talking about. Is like, so I'm not even remotely knowledgeable when it comes to like medical things for animals. Now, I am very good at writing checks to animal clinics as it relates to Snoop, because he's the most expensive damn dog I've ever owned, bro. Like I'm talking, if there ain't something wrong with one of his legs, he's got seizures. He's the best dog I've ever had, but the most expensive by far. I'm easily 15 to 20 grand into this dog. I say all that to say this: he's got 2 teeth cracked. They're both molars, one on each side. He's got to get them removed. So because I have a home in Columbus in Ohio, he hurt his paw a couple weeks back. Had to take him into the vet. I don't even know why I take him to the vet anymore. I shouldn't even take him, because he's good in 24 hours. He's running around like nothing happened. But, we freak out. We're like, oh, he's limping around with a paw. We got to take him. Same thing. They give us like anti-inflammatories and send us home. This time they found the cracked tooth. They give me a bill. This is kind of where this is what's happening in real estate, but in a different way, right? They give me an invoice. It was $1,200 for the whole thing. The anesthesia they got to put them under, and all these things to pull these 2 teeth out. And it was $1,200. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's $1,200. I come back up here to my vet. We got 2, but the one up here in Cleveland, same exact procedure. Now I was $3,100, more than double. Right? So what do? This is what the consumer is going to do, by the way, when they're looking for their loan or their house. It's all starting here with AI. I took screenshots of both of those things, put them in my AI, ChatGPT, told them to break them down, find the. I'm like, why is this vet charging more than double? Like, it's not double, it's more than double the cost to do the same. I want to make sure I'm not missing something. Is there something in this other invoice, right? And not only did it tell me there was really no difference, but it said double check with the vet. Ask each vet these 5 questions and see how they answer them. And then based on how they answer them is how you're going to find your answer. If like you should be going with one over the other, because I don't ever go with the cheapest. Like that's not what I'm looking for. So what I'm looking for is, what am I missing on this $3,100? It's got my attention, right?
Yeah.
Like, why is it double?
Yeah.
Well, like, at the end of the day, there was nothing different between the 2. I'm going to the one for $1,200, because what I found after I called him, interviewed him, AI told me how to ask the right questions. So like when these consumers are going to be looking at getting the right loan is very complicated, which is why a loan officer's job is so important, right? But if you're a shitty loan officer, if you don't know your products inside out and backwards, or you don't care about what the consumer's needs are first, and you're putting your needs ahead of it, they're going to know, because they're going to have already ran AI. AI told them the top 3 loans that would fit based upon the criteria they punched in. And if you're telling them something different, that's going to be a red flag right off the bat. You're going to start to lose business, because they already know. They know the answers they're asking. Like, I already knew what the right answers to ask both of those vets. I knew what I wanted them to say. I didn't know what they were going to say. Turns out they said the exact same thing. There was no difference between the 2 bills. This vet, for whatever reason, I guess they're a higher level, this and that, emergency unit. Like, there was no difference in the specialist that was going to do the work or any of that. So, like, I think that's what real estate agents need to prepare themselves. We talked about it all, for over a decade. You can't be an expert by just saying you're an expert without actually knowing your stuff inside out. And now, just because there's AI, it doesn't mean you can sit back on your laurels. You actually even have to step your game up even more. That's kind of, I don't know what your thoughts on it, but that's kind of how I interpret where the agent's job is going to be now as we move into this AI age, where the information that they need is no longer behind the paid curtain of that agent, right? Like, meet with me and I'll give you this, this, and this. No, they already got it. So where does that change in positioning? For you, if you like, why would you call an agent? Let's just say you haven't sold real estate for almost 30 years. You're buying this piece of land.
Dude, yeah. I avoid agents like the plague.
Why though? It's interesting you say that, but why?
Because they don't add 90% of them don't add any value. They're just out there trying to. There's some good ones. I mean, we went and looked at a $4.5 million house in the neighborhood this weekend. I scheduled it. I hadn't even used my, key and all that. I had to, update I use my phone to get in the house. But she's probably a nice enough agent. I mean, I went through the showing service, set up the deal, whatever. She texted me a couple times, make sure I lock the doors, whatever. But at the end of it, wants some feedback on it or whatever. But, I mean, I don't need an agent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am an agent. I mean, I've sold thousands of homes. So like, I don't, I avoid them because they're not going to represent me. And the only way, the only reason I even really looked at this house is because it was actually, was Zach Martin's house. It's actually whose house it is. I only know that because he was the offensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys for years, all pro. And Riggs knocked his door and got his autograph one day here in the neighborhood. And it's been on the market for almost it's about to come up on a birthday. And I was like, well, there might be a deal to be had here. He's been moved. He's been gone for a year. It's been sitting there vacant. They've only come down a little bit on the price. That's the only reason I'm interested. If I'm moving, I'm going to get a deal or I'm not moving. Like not in the neighborhood. Like I'm looking for something outside the neighborhood. If I'm right. It's what I really would want to do. But I got, my kids will be in school here for whatever. But yeah, so I mean, it's not a bad thing. But yeah, if you're gonna, you've got an opportunity when we generate a lead with somebody who's looking to buy a house and they're not fully educated and they're just looking and they're starting their process or wherever they're at in the process. What is it that you can say that that's the hook, that's your value proposition for why they should even consider talking to you again versus the next agent that they run into? That's really, I think the question you better be able to answer.
Man, if you met an agent looking for this land and that agent said to you, hey, Jay, man, I've heard of you before. You're that big real estate coach and, influencer in the real estate world. Here's why you should use me. And they start reeling stuff off like, hey, I know that you're looking to buy a piece of land. It's going to be special, something that da-da-da-da-da. Here's the things that you got to watch out for in this county, okay? Like I sold a piece of property to this person, and it was 10 acres ahead of it, but you had to watch out for this, and this. Now, I know the guy in charge of the county that's going to come and do that inspection or whatever. Yep. So da-da-da-da. Like, when someone just reels that stuff off, like they are the person.
Yeah. Yep.
Whether I'm an agent or not, I want that dude in my corner or that.
What does that do? It builds trust, right? Like, okay, yes. This guy knows, when that's a great example because you can do all the research and find homes with land, but what if I want to subdivide that and sell off a piece of it? Can I do that or not? Or, hey man, here's the guy that you get, here's where you get your water meter, like all of, yes. All of those type of things. That's and it's the same. There's a little bit of that in every real estate deal in the negotiation with the agent. And so, you have to be able to blend, it's not so much selection because they're going to have broken things down, but what, it's going to be, I think, hard for most agents to articulate a value proposition, without just spewing a bunch of information, and, trying to sell someone.
So, yeah. So the search, they don't need us for the search. They don't even need us to get knowledgeable on the area or any of that other stuff. But if they got connections, dude, the reason that I picked the agent in Lake Tahoe was because the dude's been living there for 30 years, knows every contractor. I didn't need to go find like the best, the best landscaper, the best person to clear the snow off the deck when it gets to be 8 inches, the best person that's going to come over and, the best cleaning crew after a guest leaves. Like, I didn't have to research any of that stuff. It was like, I had the guy.
Yeah.
Like the guy.
Yeah.
And I know that guy is also selling property that are, he just closed a $42 million one on the lake. Like, this dude is connected. And so, like, are you connected as an agent? Would people look at you and be like, oh yeah, Tracy, she's the one, she's the go-to for Avon or wherever, or like, oh, in Frisco, yeah, you got to go to Michael, dude. Michael knows everybody. He's the connection. So the positioning. You're right. It hasn't really changed, but the things that they needed for us 10 years ago. They don't need us. They don't need us for those things now. And they're going to need us for less and less, which means we have to be stronger in the things that are left that they do need us for, which is more, I think, just that human to human relationship, man. I got, you got a problem. I got a person to solve that. Yep. Just that. And for me, especially buying out of state, if you're buying in the same zip code that you live in right now, maybe that's not going to be the most, valuable thing. But if you're coming in from another area, for me, that's what it was for me.
Yep. 100%, dude. Yeah. Yeah. You can't, I mean, you to buy that house in Tahoe, for that deal to even happen, you had to have that guy to have the confidence and the trust that you're doing the right thing. Am I overpaying? Is this over here better than over there? By the way, on the Moonshots podcast, they were talking about Incline Village, and how real estate prices are starting to really go crazy because people are moving there. Just so you know, I think you bought it at the right time.
Yeah, I didn't hear that on Moonshot, but I'm guessing that a lot of their friends on Moonshot are probably the ones buying in Incline.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's probably what they were doing. Yeah, dude. So let's talk a little bit about this Zillow MRED thing with Compass. Biggest story last week, kind of like old news, but it's not really old news. It's still controlling a lot of the ears and eyeballs. Because the federal judge ordered MRED to put all of the listings, the access, and give Zillow's access to all of Chicagoland's listings after Zillow's feed was cut. Which I thought was a brilliant move. It was like, I'm going to fire a shot here, but I'm sure the consumers didn't like it. I'm sure all the brokers and real estate agents who saw their listings disappear from Zillow overnight, they didn't like it.
Heck no.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, the consumer was the most important piece of it. So the judge said, hey, look, the consumer wants all these back on there. There's that many. I mean, they control that many more eyeballs than anyone else. So they forced them to put it back up. But I guess it affected like 43,000 listings, Jake. Could you imagine that? Like, if we had an inventory of, say, 20, 25 listings, and you imagine the calls that we would have been getting from our sellers, dude?
Oh, my God.
Like, obviously they knew it was coming. They only had like about a day, maybe two. It was less than 2 days notice to call all your clients and be like, hey, just so you know, your listing is about to disappear from Zillow. Now, I believe none of ours did because we give our eXp Realty has a direct link to Zillow. We give them direct access, so it doesn't come through the MLS.
Yep.
43,000 other listings just disappeared overnight. So, man, a lot of people are saying that this is a big nothing burger, but it's really not, because what we're seeing Compass doing right now is they're kind of like, they're doing what they feel is right, which is fighting Zillow so that they could operate their business model how they want to operate their business model. Now, we can have a conversation, is their business model, their practice of this private exclusive listing good for the consumer? Even Compass agents we're talking to agree that it's not, and they're not for it. That's just what they're using to open up the door in the argument. And I don't want to say that doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter to the argument of, what they're trying to do, which is, hey, listen, you can't tell us how to run our business model. We're, we're going to run it this way. And it's just being framed as seller's choice versus consumer transparency. I think that, Compass as sellers and agents should have more control over how listings are marketed. I don't disagree with that, so to speak. But Zillow's like, well, we're going to hide and delay listing exposure because what you're doing is hurting buyers and sellers. I mean, that's kind of how I'm interpreting all this. What are your 2 cents on this whole debacle here?
I mean, I don't agree that it's better for the consumer, but I don't want anybody telling me how to run my business. And that's, I think that's why the court ruled in the favor that it did.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about freedom at the beginning of the podcast. Freedom in real estate used to mean access to information. And now it means, knowing who's filtering the information before you get it.
Right.
Basically. Right. So, does the private inventory protect sellers, or does it just create a gated marketplace for them to double end more listings or more sales? I don't think it protects the seller. I don't think it helps the seller. I don't think, statistically, what was it? Less than 5% of those deals are double ended. I don't think it's better for the seller in any way, shape, or form. I think it also creates overall consumer search. I thought everything was here and it's not. It's here and here only. That's terrible. That's the worst market we could be in, is if those 40-something thousand listings aren't on Zillow and people are trying to figure out. Now, it makes it easier as the agent if you can, and again, I think your AI enabled search is going to go find them on Compass and on Zillow, and so even if it becomes fragmented, it won't be fragmented. That's the only positive, that if it does end up fragmented like that your AI is going to go find every listing no matter what. Yeah, that's if you know how to prompt it right and talk to it right.
Right.
And tell it, like, go search this, and this, and then find any other portals out there where you can find the listings that matches this, and this. And if you're able to prompt
I think if you have to be that smart at prompting, I don't think I think a large percentage of people don't know aren't going to be smart enough to know to do that. But when I did that search that I did, it went to, all these commercial sites and pulled from all these. I didn't say anything about that. It figured it out on its own. So I think it's just going to arbitrarily know every listing from here's a list. I mean, it's going through, all that data, all these sites. It's just going to bring back everything that's out there, including for sale by owners or whatever.
Yeah. Well, man, everybody's going after something. AI wants to be front and center on the search. Portals they want all the listings. Lenders want all the loans, and the rates are now controlling the buyers now. So the smart agents, though, they're going to be learning how to cooperate before the market leaves them behind. We put that in there, and Jay's like, what does that mean? I'm like, that's my slick way of kind of inserting our mortgage opportunity. So yeah, we last week had our first run through with a private group of high producing agents, specifically agents that are doing over 5 million in closed volume on the buy side. We invited them to take a look at the new mortgage model we have coming out, and every single one of them liked it. And I think it was 80% of them were like, I'm in. So it was a great first run. It was super choppy because we never really gave the presentation before. If you're interested in seeing what we have going on that mortgage, we're not doing, an advertising blast yet, or maybe not ever. I don't know. We may leave this like a kind of like a closed door private opportunity, because it's not for everyone.
No, it's more going to be who we let in versus getting in.
That's correct. Yeah, it has to be absolutely the right avatar. And the avatar, just so we're gonna hit that tuning fork. Where's that tuning fork, Jake?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. We'll get the tuning fork in here.
Oh yeah, always have the tuning fork.
Ding.
Right there.
We're talking about, we're looking for agents, brokers, or team leaders minimally doing 5 million in buy side closings every year. So I mean, that's who this is for. And it's, if you're somebody who's been in an MSA and it didn't work out the way you thought it was, maybe they weren't paying enough into it, or maybe they came back to you and were like, hey, we need more loans from you. And it put friction in that relationship with your lender. If you're a broker team leader that's ever experienced that, or you thought to yourself, man, there's got to be a better way. Yeah, there's got to be a better way than an MSA. I'm just going to open up a mortgage company. I'm going to open up my own branch. Or you were thinking of just getting your LO license. Stop your thinking, or at least pause it for a second and DM Jay or myself the word cooperate with your email address, and we'll send you an invite to our next. It's going to be end of this week. We don't have a time. It is private. You won't see an advertisement for it. But our cooperate opportunity is the best thing we've seen since revenue share, frankly. So get on the train while the getting's good. We're basically taking applications at this point to get involved in that program. But just DM cooperate and your email address. It's amazing, dude, when we do this, how many people follow instructions, how many people don't.
It's a qualifier.
Direct message me, cooperate, the word cooperate. If you can't spell it, this opportunity is not for you. And then your email address. And if you can't spell that right, this definitely is not the right opportunity for you.
Yeah. Back in the day, I would have that reminded me of the story. So when we used to run our ads for hiring people at NAEA, we had very specific instructions. Put this in the headline and send an email to this if they wanted to apply. If they didn't do that, those would filter and go right into the trash. Like just the one, like if you can't even follow the simple instructions of put this in the headline and you put anything else in the headline other than what we tell you to put in the headline, you didn't even make it to we didn't even get anything that you sent us. It went straight to the trash. We didn't even look at it. Yeah. So like that's how you weed out the people that, it's a good sign. Maybe you made a mistake, wrong time to make a mistake. Like follow the instructions.
It's a copy and a paste. That's how easy it was, because you actually gave them the headline, right? All they had to do was
copy this, told them exactly what to do. Yeah. But we had a bunch of them we didn't have to look through.
Yeah. And then they come, people come up to me, oh, I applied with your company. I never got a call.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know why you didn't get a call, but I have an idea.
Yeah.
I probably didn't follow instructions. So yeah,
right.
Send the DM with the word cooperate, your email address. We'll get you in. I believe we're going to do it Friday. We haven't nailed a time down though, but we will be doing that. Well, Jay, I appreciate you, man. I'm super excited about the next 3 years and where we're going. And we're just taking huge leaps in all the things that the team is creating. The Funnel Pilot team, your groups have been amazing, and still we're pacing to hitting that 50 agents a week of people that are raising their hands and being like, hey, I'm ready to join. So you see there's a link down here at the bottom. Let me take Curtis's out here. Go to jetfuelleads.com/live and join Jay Thursday, excuse me. Thursday at noon Central Time, 1:00 Eastern Time if you're over on the East Coast. And check out what we're doing. Check out what we're doing with AI, how we're building funnels out, how we're helping agents add 2 to 3 sales per month to their closing books. And we're having fun doing it. So I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man.
God bless you. God bless the USA.
Yep.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Later.